All right, let's go ahead and get into Fallout. We are going pretty long in the tooth, guys, so I'm trying to rush through a little bit, just a heads up on that. Let's go ahead and get into Fallout. Now, I am episode 5. I just finished episode 5. You guys are closer to the end. Let's get initial impressions from Fallout. Thomas, what do you think?
Knocked it out of the park. This show is so compelling, start to finish. Characters are interesting. This world, it's like, how many different apocalyptic universes can we see? And it throws another one in the hat, and it's so still lived in and unique and original, and like it's just over the top. Some ways, almost like a Deadpool sense sometimes. And God, I love it. Yeah, so it's been a blast.
Yeah. I'll throw in the fact that, it is that dystopian future, but it kept the humor that I was hoping it would. I tried to explain, I was telling Squeak's like, oh, it'll be like a comedy. And he's like, no, not at all. But I'm like, it's because it's so overtly insane. It's a Borderlands kind of comedy where they're shooting somebody and it's like the bullet doesn't need to be that strong kind of comedy. And so it's a lot of fun to hang out with it, seeing these mutants that are all wacky and stuff, and just the big old chunky armor that is like, oh, that feels good in the game. I love that armor when I can find it. I like that one part where he's like, the guy takes the piece out of the back of him and all of a sudden he's out of power, and it's like, I have searched for that damn piece that guy just took away so many times. I know exactly what he's looking for.
Oh, man. Okay, I was interested. See, that's the thing. Like, I don't come from it playing the games, so I'm just kind of more curious about this world, and maybe that's like a benefit to me in this situation. But you can definitely tell there's video game parts. You were like, oh, I could tell, like, if I was fighting here or exploring this area, I feel like this would be a little hint, this would be something to focus on. Like, they do a good job of balancing the video game elements with like this world and the live action part of it.
Yeah. I would say the thing that's most different from the video game is how much time they're spending in the vaults. Because normally the vaults is where you start and then you leave it behind. And you'll find hints about the vault you came from on the outside world, but you don't really go back to the vaults. I don't think it really ever. So that's pretty new. But yeah. Isaac, what are your first initial impressions of this?
I have come at it from the same perspective as Thomas. I've not played, I shouldn't say any of the games. I did actually give the very first one a try one time. Damn. And it's been so long since I played like a computer RPG like that. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I could do this. So I was like, you know what? I'll come back to this when I have a little bit more mental capacity to handle this. But because I'm like involved in like the gaming community, I like know the vibe of Fallout and stuff like that. And man, this show nailed what I imagine the Fallout games to be like. And like you mentioned, Thomas, there are parts in this series where you know that this is, I don't even know what reference it is, but I know that this is a reference to something in the video game. I don't get it because I haven't played the games, but I know that that's a reference. But that doesn't throw off the whole scope of the story. It doesn't like detract or, actually funny side note, like there's a line from somebody in the show that like side quests are like the thing of, being on the surface. Like there's always side quests. And I was like, okay, that's definitely the story of Fallout. I know that for sure, even though I haven't played the games. Side quests are the thing in the Fallout games. But yeah, man, I personally keep comparing it to The Last of Us from last year in the top tier video game adaptation. I think it was fantastic. I'm going to go back and play the Fallout games because of this show. I love the vibe. And honestly, the way they were done, I'd say they are on the same level, The Last of Us and Fallout, like just top tier, well-made shows. But I liked Fallout more because of the comedic, like dystopian, almost satirical vibe of the show. Like I just thought it was hilarious, and I continue to love it. Looking forward to, if they continue to make more seasons of it. So, and I did get to watch the whole series. Phenomenal. Absolutely a must watch for gamers for sure. I would even say it's a must watch for anybody that is interested in looking for a new show, because it is amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's important, if you're somebody who's not familiar with the games going into it, is understanding again that vibe that it's ridiculous. As long as you know that it's like going in to watch I want to watch a spy movie and you go to see a Matthew Vaughn movie and you're like, get ready. They're going to do some silly shit and they're going to love it. But yeah, so As long as you know that going into it's great. One thing I love as a gamer is watching them pass up so much supplies, and it driving me bananas that they keeps leaving bullets behind. Like, how are you not looting everybody? There's that. There's a part where the ghoul played by Walter Goggins, who I will follow into hell. He like when he kills somebody. I won't spoil anything. He kills somebody. He turns the guy over and starts cutting him open to get pieces. I'm like, that guy's played the game. Like it would make so much sense. It was great. But yeah. What? Go ahead, Thomas. What were you saying?
Oh, yeah. To your point, Isaac, like this definitely makes me want to go back and play the games, though, because I'm like, this world is so interesting. And it's like it seems like it's the past, but then when you look at the timeline, it's the future. And I guess it's all about rather than taking battery power, we went fusion or like nuclear energy, and like this world that they build out of it. Oh man, it's so cool, man. I'm going to play it after this. Maybe after actually Helldivers, but still after that.
So, yeah, actually to that point as well, what really is the icing on the cake of Fallout is the soundtrack. Like the old like 40s, 50s like vibe of the soundtrack is just chef's kiss. It is phenomenal. I absolutely love that part of it. And it's got and again, I have not played the games, but I know the Fallout like theme, and right when you start those episodes you get that Fallout theme, and like you kind of get the old like warm record sound of it. Oh, it's peak, man. Peak soundtrack for sure.
I was trying to explain that to somebody that was like, it's odd that my generation knows all the words to I don't want to set the world on fire. That song. It's weird that we know that song, but we do, and it's Fallout 3. And so they're killing it there. Technology wise, it is in 2077, I believe. The key with this world is instead of going battery wet fusion, instead of going microchips, we stick with tubes. So there's a few things that kind of diverge. But I love how so far I haven't seen anybody who hasn't played the game get confused by that, because I thought that's going to be a little bit tricky. It's like alternate technology but ain't nobody got a problem with that. I like that. Did you guys have any problems with that understanding?
No, it was like a little bit on the timeline, because when you first see the ghoul before he becomes a ghoul, I was like, all right, like what year was this? And then the nukes start going off and everything. But yeah, that was the only part that kind of got me. And then later on, Lucy finds something out. But it took me a second, and then it was quickly kind of solved, I guess. Like there's something that explains that.
I kind of like how they did it, in that they show a lot of flashbacks from all the different characters, honestly, and a lot from Ghoul for sure. But they start off the series talking, like where he is when the Fallout starts, right? Which makes sense. Like it totally makes sense. And then they go into kind of the present day, and you get those flashbacks and we kind of uncover the story as we go along, which I really appreciated, because I feel like a lot of shows, and we as the audience these days, we want everything now. We want like, I need to know what's happening right now. And if I don't get it, I'm going to stop watching. Like that's kind of like a lot of our online attitudes. So I liked that we slowly uncovered that story, and it kept me interested and engaged. But yeah, it definitely was a different way of telling it than we've seen a lot of shows around these times.
And that's exactly how the games play too, is uncovering the story as you explore the above world. And I think that's something that maybe Halo missteps on. There's a lot of explanation dumps and stuff like that in Halo, and The Last of Us a little bit, but not too bad, right? We have that small part in the beginning where we're stuck in one of the towns, and then we move on. But this one is playing out much like the games, where the more you invest your time into it, the more it's going to reward you with more story, more backstory, and I love that. That's a really good move.
Yeah.
The casting on this thing, Walter Goggins, again, I said, is just, he's amazing. He plays Cooper Howard or the Ghoul. Watching him getting to makeup, I saw the behind the scenes of him doing makeup. It's like 3 hours of makeup, and then they do the white dots on his nose to remove that the whole time. What a trooper. And then I also want to shout out. Good. Yeah, it looks really good. I want to shout out Ella Purnell, who's playing Lucy. Before this, she's in Yellow Jackets, which is a Showtime show, very good. And she's pretty awesome in Yellow Jackets season 1. So it's good to see her kind of evolve into this role as well. She's doing pretty great in this. Any particular actors you liked?
Yeah, with Walter Goggins, is it right? I love this dude. I mean, like I've seen him in so many things. He's not that person I know his name, but I never seen him as like a lead. It's so
Yeah.
cool to see him as a lead in this, and 100% deserving of it too. Like he carries. It's like one of those shows too, where when they go back to the flashback, like I actually care about what he was like before. Normally I'm like, stop giving us this, like just give us all the new stuff where he's badass. It's like, I don't even need that. I want to see how he goes from this guy to what we see later on. And he's so good, like massively captivating, like such a talented actor. There's different things that he's realizing as things are happening, and like the realization on his face, like you could just tell what he's thinking. Man, he's so good. The cast is so good in this show.
Yeah, and he's killing it all over the place because he's also doing great things in Invincible, in animated, voiceover
Totally,
and stuff like
Cecil.
that.
Yeah.
Cecil in Invincible, so good. Like he is just killing it, absolutely. But one person that stuck out to me that I did not expect was Moises Arias, who plays Norm MacLean.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
yes.
start like right away. He's portrayed as this coward, and then his storyline became my favorite as the series went on. And oh man, I don't want to spoil anything because we're trying to keep it spoiler free. But I absolutely loved his storyline. He develops into this phenomenal character by the end of the series, and it's great. He's a relatively, I mean, like he's definitely had his share of roles and stuff like that, but like he's not a guy that you would just recognize, right off the bat, generally. So, but yeah, he's phenomenal. Love his storyline, and the whole cast is great. Like this is just a well-made show, and the cast plays their parts perfectly.
So with him in particular, I was like, where do I know this guy from? And I think my wife was like, oh, he's from like Sweet Life of Zach and Cody or something. And I was like,
yeah, he's one of those guys that you see and you're like, do I know him from somewhere?
And I was like, I remember
how
him
do I
being
know this guy?
Totally. And I'm like, I remember him as a little kid, I think. And then I'm like, what has he done since then? I have no idea. But then he shows up. I'm like, this guy is so good. Get him into more stuff ASAP. I'm glad you called him out.
Yeah, Igor from King of Staten Island is like one of his last big projects that he did. That Pete Davidson movie. He was in that one.
That's a good movie too, actually.
Yeah, and even like Zach Cherry, by the way, just real quick, plays Woody. I don't know what it is about him, but I just love the guy. I want to give him a hug. But he's from Severance, and so he's one of the guys trying to run the show.
Totally. Right.
He's just.
I love that dude. He was also in Spider-Man. He was also in Shang-Chi. Like, he's making his way around franchises.
Right. Yeah, he's great.
It's good stuff. Any other big shout outs? And Matt Berry, by the way, being the voice of the robots. Oh God, Mr. Handy. So iconic.
There's a good Matt Berry scene in there too, and it's pretty pivotal. So I was like surprised because I knew he's the voice of the robot, but I didn't know he was going to actually have a scene, and I loved his scene too. He's great.
Follow Matt Berry on TikTok because he's all about just sharing old clips of himself or whatever. He shared a clip of him from that one that I haven't seen in the show yet, but I know it's coming. But yeah, he's worth following on TikTok. He loves it. So let's go ahead and any last shout outs, and then I want to get a grade from this too. Let's go out of 10. Thomas, let's start with you.
Let's see. I still have 20 minutes left, so I mean everything could change. My grade could completely go out of the window. It could be a 9 right now, and then a 4, but probably not gonna be. So I will stick with 9. I'm digging this show. Again, just smart writing where more of the story, more of the backstory of the characters gets revealed as you go on. I'm so intrigued. I'm bummed that they binge dropped it in a way. I'm also bummed that we're gonna have to wait a year for another season of it because it's like I want more now, but I guess I could go back and play the game. So yeah, as of right now, 9. Just so well done. Also, shout out to the sets. Whoever made all the sets for this show, it's like it puts you in that place, and that's phenomenally done.
Yeah, and the bright colors I think help with that too because it's like so bright that it like the green screen effect or whatever they're using, it doesn't matter because it's so bright, and so it's not like they're trying to go dark tone like they would with The Last of Us. Isaac, any last thoughts, and what would your score be?
Yeah, man, I think I'm right along. I think actually you put out that range of 4 to 9. I was like, dang, you could like in that last 20 minutes, you could drop it down to a 4. That's
kidding.
like pretty intense, man.
I'm pretty sure
I don't know what's going to happen in that 20 minutes. Is going to totally destroy the show for you. But
hey, I've been disappointed before. Like, you ever watch The Mist? You're like, come on. All you need to do is take 2 steps out of the mist.
Oh,
okay.
Boy. Yeah. But I am on the same wavelength as Thomas. I'm giving this one a 9. It was just so well done. And I think I probably could have appreciated it more if I had played the games. But even as an outside observer, fantastic show. I really, really enjoyed it and looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah. Well, shit, I'm 9 too, guys. My only thing that's keeping away from a 10 is I wish the pace sometimes would be turned up a notch, but I think it's fine. Sometimes they're doing a little bit too much exploring, which is very video game accurate again. But sometimes I'm just like, fast travel. You could get there. And so, but yeah, it's cool. And I just absolutely love this cast so much. They're killing it. So, Walter Goggins, by the way, if you want more Walter Goggins, Righteous Gemstone. He plays Uncle Bobby Billy and kills it. And he based that character off his dad. If you see his dad, he dresses like the Ghoul. He's that guy all the time. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't he in Justified too?
He's kind of like the main bad guy, just the main arch enemy, I guess, in Justified. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good stuff. By the way, if you're wanting to play the Fallout game, which right away I'm getting texts from friends that are like, hey, you want to play some Fallout because of this? Yeah. Fallout 76 is free if you have Prime. And if you're watching this, you have Prime. So go to your Prime account. You have this month to do it, and you'll get Fallout 76 for free. And then 4 and 3, I know, are on a heavy discount on Steam right now. So if you guys want to play, make sure you pick it up.
Yeah, they're like $5 a piece. And you can get a package of Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics for $5 as well, because that's what I did on Steam to play that and then stopped playing it. So
there's a shout out to Fallout 1, which I was like, I didn't like. Normally Fallout 3 and above is kind of what's mentioned, not Fallout 1. But when they do the new California stuff, and I was like, oh snap, they're going to the old school stuff there.
Yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah, they put in a lot of Easter eggs throughout the show. I mean, I'm assuming because yeah, I don't even want to say it because the last episode there is a very big one that Fallout fans are going to go nuts over it. So you guys, or Frank, you will when you finally watch that last episode.
As soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna put it on. I'm watching probably through the rest of the night.
it's pretty big. So yeah, I think a lot of Fallout fans are going to be excited about this, and even non-Fallout fans like myself. Like I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic.